Welcome, everyone, to Dominate Your Day. Today, I have the Director of Competitions at PGA of America, a wonderful, bright young leader, Laura Frick. Laura, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you. I met you, or kind of you came to my path when you had just been recognized recently by Dallas Business Journal. Tell the audience about that.
Yeah, that was an unexpected surprise, to be honest. An old friend and coworker of mine from many, many years ago completed the nomination form on my behalf without even telling me. And I found out a few months later, I was able to meet all the other women who are honorees. It's been an incredible experience. Had I not known, I didn't know about this opportunity. And thanks to my friend and colleague, she really opened the door for me to meet many, many women that are doing great things. So very honored to be a part of that group.
Yes, and that was the Dallas Business Journal 2024 Women in Business honorees. So I think you were the youngest one there that I saw. But it was really neat because it was a great spectrum of women in business throughout the Dallas Metroplex and all the different things they've done. So I think it's interesting, Laura, that you were recognized at such a young age and so early in your career, and now you're director. How and your friend kind of connected you. What was it that made her want to reach out, do you think?
I think, I've had a relationship with this woman for a long time, and we both work in the golf industry. We both lean on each other when we're having challenges in the industry, when we're having exciting times in the industry, and when we want to share them with each other. And I think this was her kind of saying to me, hey, don't forget that you're doing amazing things. And don't
Mm.
forget that it's more than golf. I mean, her and I, we spend a lot of time in the sports world, but these women that I've gotten to spend time with now with the Dallas Business Journal, they do incredible things across the entire state of business.
Mm.
So, not just sports. And it's been eye opening for me to kind of hear that these women also experience some of the same challenges that I face in my industry and also some of the same successes. So this was kind of my friend's way of patting me on the back and saying, like, I know that sometimes you feel frustrated or you experience challenges, but you're still one of the best and deserve to be on the stage with the other honorees.
An amazing friend. And we always say, who in the strengths world, who's your best friend at work? It's that person that you can go to and say, man, I'm having a struggle today, or oh, I want to celebrate with you today. But how cool that she nominated you to be a part of this amazing group. The other thing, Laura, I want to bring up today is you're pretty much in a male world. This is, golf has always been male dominated. How did you get into the PGA? How did that happen? And who were the people along the way that kind of were your cheerleaders as you got into your role?
Yeah, so I went to college at Ferris State University in northern Michigan, and I went to school for professional golf management. So it's a 4.5 year business degree where you take golf specific classes, you have to pass a playing ability test, and you have to go on specific internships at golf facilities or golf management companies. And even when I joined that program as a freshman, I was one of about 80 people in that class, and I was the only female. So I learned quickly what
Mm.
the numbers in golf were like. Even when I became a PJ golf professional to this day, there's less than 5% that are female. So one of the things I learned is to rally around the other women in the business. And the other thing was mentorship. So one, I have to give a shout out to my mom because she supported me every step of the way. I'm sure she
Mm.
was terrified to send her 18-year-old daughter off to college with a bunch of boys that could pick on her or challenge her. But she knew that I could do it, and she had my back on the days where I even felt like maybe I couldn't do it. And then,
Mm.
I've had two really great mentors that are men. My very first internship was at Nantucket Golf Club, and Mike Damakis. He took me under his wing. He knew what I was passionate about, and he helped me thrive in those passions versus try to redirect me and say, you'd actually make a great coach, or maybe you'd be great at merchandising. He knew that I loved tournaments, and he let me kind of share that passion with the rest of the world.
And you've kind of been at, and the PGA is based here in Dallas now, but you actually came from Florida when you got on with PGA. Is that correct? Started as an event
Yeah,
manager.
I started as a championships coordinator, and I was in our Palm Beach Gardens office, and I started there in 2017. And then right around 2019 is when we found out we were going to be building a new office here in Frisco, Texas. And I was part of a small group that was asked to relocate early on to be kind of a part of the building's culture and just how we implement ourselves into the Texas area and Dallas specifically. So I decided to take the chance and relocate here back then. And since then, I've climbed my way up, from coordinator to director. And that's through another mentor of mine who's Steve Tanner. He's my current boss. And he has really guided me every step of the way and given me the opportunity to advance.
And I think I saw Steve at the Dallas Business Journal event. Was he there supporting you, or another leader
Yeah,
there?
he
I've
was.
seen, yeah.
Yep.
So to me, and I was, when you mentioned this when we were in the green room about your mentors, these two men that really encouraged you in different ways. Your first mentor, just learning your gifts and helping you use your gifts every day. And then Steve, just helping you as you have been rising to director of competitions. What is it in these leaders that you admire that has helped you grow? What is it that they've focused on for you as mentor leaders?
I admire that they meet me where I'm at. So this is something that
Mm,
I've taken into my own leadership practices, is understanding that you may have thoughts and ideas about another individual, but you don't know them the way that they know themselves. And you don't know what
mm.
they care about unless you go and you spend time with them and you really listen to them. And that's what my mentors have done for me. They've fought for me, they've sat and they've heard me, and they've given me the space to shine. They don't, micromanage or kind of they just give me the opportunity to succeed, and they give me the space to do so, and they're always there if I need to fall back on them, and they're always there to provide feedback and opportunities for me to get even better.
So I have an interesting question. What do you do when you feel like you're not being seen, because you're a female and you've got this male leader? Do you share with them how hard that is? Have you shared with them some of those hard moments? Or do you always go find another female leader to kind of say, or maybe both? I've done both, but I'm
Mhm.
curious how you've managed that.
I do both. I start with some of my closest friends that are female, and I kind of say,
Hmm.
hey, check me before I go into a conversation with my leader, because I'm feeling a type of way and I want to make sure that I'm not acting emotionally. I want to make sure that I can control my emotions and my feelings and really, enter into a conversation in an appropriate way. And usually they'll say, we've got your back and we think you're on the right track. Go ahead and stick up for yourself. And what's cool about my leader, Steve, is he's a dad of three little girls. And so he also understands.
Yeah.
He understands what it's like, and he's got my back always.
What do you think right now, Laura, about women in sports and where it's going? It seems like this huge growth in the last 5 years, and even this year, as we see with basketball, with other sports. But what are you seeing as some trends right now, especially in golf? I bet you're seeing some big trends as well.
Yeah, I think it's trending in all the right directions. For golf specifically, women were contributed to some of the top growing numbers in this past year. So we have more women golfers than ever, and we have more junior golfers than ever, which is a true testament to just the way of the world. And I think what I can speak to with golf is we're also trying to change the definition of golf. Golf no longer has to be 18 holes and a 5-hour round that costs $300. There's things like Topgolf, there's things like Putt Shack and Pop Stroke, and opportunities to play mini golf, to watch golf, to
Mm-hmm.
hit a few chip shots and still be a golfer. So, going back to what I said earlier about meeting people where they're at, I think that's why females are, getting more opportunities in golf and in sports in general, is because we're redefining what that looks like. It doesn't have to be the same thing for me to enjoy the game of golf as it does for a man to enjoy the game of golf, or someone younger or someone older. And I think that's really cool. And I think technology helps with that as well.
So, Laura, you have taken your Clifton strengths, which we talk about here a lot on Dominate Your Day, because when we're in our strengths, we are managing our energy, not our time. And we find that we're just in this flow state. So, I want to use your experience of this week. You were overseeing a tournament. Tell us about that tournament and tell us, and let's talk through your strengths and see kind of what was showing up. Your number one strength is significance. And significance means I'm a part of something bigger than myself. So you were working with junior golfers. Why
Hmm.
are you so passionate about working with junior golfers?
That just gave me goosebumps, what you said, by the way, which is exactly how I know that that's one of my strengths, because that gets me excited. And with junior golf specifically, there's something so magical about creating a championship with a PGA Tour or LPGA Tour feel, where there are kids between the ages of 10 and 13 that show up, and it's one of the memories they're going to have for the rest of their life. Professional athletes, I give them so much credit, but I always remember that they're there as a job. They're making money doing this day in and day out. And for some of these kids, this championship is the one and only major championship that they'll ever get to participate in. And so the joy on their faces, being able to make it more than just about a golf competition. We do so many other things off the golf course for them. It's just something really special. And we see parents that are in tears because they're so proud of their kids. And it's it's 96 players at this one specific championship, but for me it's a celebration of the 75,000 plus players that are participating all year long that don't quite make it to this stage. And it's just so much more than that. It's sharing the game of golf with anyone and everyone.
How cool is that you get to be with these kids right now and then watch them grow and be a part of their lives? And one of the other things I saw was your positivity, which is your number two strength. Positivity said 75,000, but these got to come to the top, but it's all those 75,000 they got to play, right? And that's the significance of positivity kind of working together. It's like making a dent, making a mark. Tell me during the tournament, what was one of your favorite moments this week?
Oh,
You had a
that's
lot of them
such a
probably.
there's so
Yes.
many, but this is a weird one, and any one of my colleagues who are watching are going to be like, you picked this, but there's a lot of work. 51 weeks out of the year are spent planning for this one week. And we build signage. We build a small little city at this property at PGA Frisco. And there's, so many hands that go into this event, many, many more than mine. But one of my favorite things, and something that I always try to do, is I like to help put up the signage at the start of the week. So installing it, getting it in the ground, building it, all the way from designing what it looks like and what it says. And so the very first time someone walks on property and they find a sign that they like and they take a picture by it, for me, it gives me chills, because they don't really know
Mhm.
that the work that goes into putting that one piece of sign in the ground. But what they do know is how much they appreciate it, and that it made them feel excited enough to want to get a picture next to it. And I don't know, that's a weird piece of golf operations, but it's something that when I catch it, I kind of take a pause and I watch it happen and I smile and move on with my day.
There's several things going on there, probably with your strengths, besides the significance, but also that achiever of visualizing. Were you visualizing what this would look like, 52 weeks ago, and what you wanted it to look like? So for you to be there on site after you designed it, planned it, worked with your team, and then be able to put it in the ground, that was a moment, and a moment to celebrate even if the tournament hadn't started yet, right? It was just kind of a moment. And I think so many times we as leaders want to celebrate the end of something. And what I heard you saying is we got to celebrate in the beginning. It was just like, oh, look, so and so is going to get their picture. It wasn't the end of the tournament, it was during and a part of it, but celebrating that you created a moment for somebody through that. And that signage was a moment in time that they'll remember. That was really cool.
It's
So when you,
hilarious because we did have a crazy ending to the championship, and it was
what happened?
unreal, but we went to a playoff for the first time since either 2015 or 2016, and it was just this neck and neck match. It was unbelievable, and a player made an eagle putt on the second playoff hole to secure the victory, and you just couldn't beat that type of golf. So it was really special.
And do you get to know a lot of these kids pretty closely
Yeah,
and their
I do.
families?
Some of them have been there multiple years. Some of them are brand new to the experience. And throughout the week, depending on where I'm at all times, I'm trying to interact with families and coaches and players. So we've seen a few of them grow up, and that's been really cool to see. We have an older division championship that's in November, and now we start to see the kids kind of graduating from this younger championship and advancing on to the older one, which is really cool.
So you have Woo. For those that don't know what Woo is in Clifton Strengths, it's winning others over. So people with high Woo, yours is number 5, they get their energy from meeting new people and connecting with people. So I can imagine you getting excited about meeting all these kids and their families. And you're the kind of person I want to hang with in an event because you're going to meet everybody. You're going to always meet those of us that don't have Woo High. It's okay. We've got other things. But the people that have Woo, they get their energy from meeting and being around new people. So how long have you been doing this, Laura, as far as
I have
overseeing these?
I've been at the PGA for 7 years in some level of championships, and I've been overseeing this championship for 5 years. And yeah, it's distracting sometimes because I want to be everywhere at once and I want to be talking to everyone at once. And we have people from all over the country that come to this championship specifically, and, old friends, new friends. We are working from 5:30 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, but yet we always end up going to dinner because we want to debrief on the day, spend time together as a team. I've got such a core group of people that work this championship with me too, and they're the best in the business as well. And so we spend all day, every day together and trying to get to know these players and families and just give them the best experience possible.
Do you take a little time off, kind of, or you even haven't had time to take off this week, right? It's like,
Not yet. It's still tear down time. So after this, I'll change into some dirty clothes and go break down boxes and pack up our trailer to get to the next championship. But eventually, I'll take a break.
well, and I think that's important as a leader. You've got several people reporting to you, you're building a team, you're getting your hands dirty, you're not just telling them what to do. That's your responsibility. That's number 3 for you. And
That
responsibility is going
is
to take on. How does that show up for you?
That is 100% the way I feel. I feel it's so important to be boots on the ground, almost to a fault sometimes, probably, where I should be
Mhm.
prioritizing something else. But I want to be out there with the people who are hammering the signs in, and I want to be up at 5:30 with the people who are making sure the food and beverage is set for breakfast. And I've worked with other leaders who are that same way, and I've experienced other leaders who were not always that same way. And I know how it made me feel as a staff member when my leader is by my side. And that's important for me to make sure I'm always by my team's side.
And what a great lesson in leadership. What are some other lessons that your mentors have taught you or other leaders that you've watched, whether they be male or female in the business? What are some advice that you would give to these up and coming people that you're now mentoring that are going to be leaders someday? What is your advice to them?
I like to tell people just how important it is to be proactive and to really be somewhat of a go getter. It's not that you need to work from sunup to sundown all the time, but you do need to seek out opportunities and help yourself get that foot in the door. And then once you do have that foot in the door, rally around those leaders, learn from them,
Mhm.
communicate with them. We have interns that come to the PGA and they'll always ask me, how can I get a full-time job at the PGA? I'm heading back to school, but I graduate in a year. And I said, don't let today be the last day that I hear from you. Keep in touch. That actually means a lot to leaders. And we do want to help you grow. So we can only do that if you engage with us as well and even tap us on the shoulder and remind us that you're there and you're willing to be here and to advance.
So, have you been able to hire some of your interns from before? Have you seen them come in the last couple of years? That's pretty
Yeah,
exciting.
we have had some amazing interns at the PGA, and we have a full-time staffer on our team now. He started out as my intern, and he's climbed his way up. He's one of the people who works on the championship team, and just watching him grow over the last couple of years has been amazing. We've hired a couple other interns, either into full-time positions in other roles, or even just to stay on as contractors while they're still going into school, because they've just been that good and that interested in staying on, which is really neat to see for that younger generation.
And I think right now, in the midst of hybrid, in the midst of you all have to be kind of on point every day, right? Because you've got events, you've got a lot going on. There's probably times when you're not all together. What is the kind of culture you're setting for your team right now? And how do you stay
We're kind of a
connected?
family. We're kind of a
Yeah.
family. It's interesting. We will start, group text messages with the teams that work these championships. And it's not a group text message that is just utilized for that week. It's utilized all year long to share funny pictures, funny memories. Like we're always laughing and we try to, do happy hours or breakfast meetups and things like that when it's been a while since we've all connected. But it's really, I mean, you spend 100 hours in one week with the same individuals for a championship. You've got a lot of inside jokes. You learn a lot about each other, and it's hard not to feel like a family and a friendship. So, we've got an open, honest culture too. We know when each other is kind of in a mood or needs some space, and we respect that.
Mhm.
It's a long week, and you just got to be respectful of each other, but also lift each other up when needed, and it's just a ton of fun.
That's awesome. I can tell Laura why you were nominated for Dallas Women's uh, Award this year by the Business Journal in Dallas. So, yeah, congrats. One last question. How do you dominate your day? You're a busy young professional. You've got a lot going on. You've got a lot of people you're leading. How do you give your people clarity and how do you take care of yourself? Especially right now, coming off of a big tournament and getting ready for the next big thing. How do you do that? How do you manage that?
I think starting with others, I try so hard to make sure gratitude is at the forefront of every day. Um, gratitude for myself, but also making sure my team knows how grateful I am for them. I try, every couple days to make sure I pinpoint something that they've been doing really well and remind them of that. I think it's easy when you're working at a fast pace to be hard on yourself and forget
Mhm.
all the amazing things you've done that day or that week. And so I really try to focus on practicing gratitude for all those that are around me and supporting me. And then a personal thing is I really try to maintain, some sort of exercise routine. It gets hard when I'm working a big week like last week, but I will make sure I am walking a little bit more during the work week, or like I said, lifting signage. Like if I can't get an actual workout in, I'll make my work day into a little bit of a workout.
There you go.
And yeah, yeah. And then rest. I mean, I've definitely gotten, 9 to 10 hours of sleep the last couple days and prioritized early bedtimes. But I have amazing family that supports me from afar. I have an amazing boyfriend who's here in Dallas who takes good care of me when I'm not feeling quite up for it. So
Mm.
again, it's the team. It's surrounding myself with the right people,
Mhm.
and I've gotten so lucky with that.
That's amazing. You mentioned two things in there that I want to make sure our audience pays attention to. One is I always say draw a circle and put people around that circle that are your like virtual roundtable, and that you had, you mentioned your two leaders, your boss, your or your current boss, and your former mentor. You mentioned your boyfriend. You mentioned people on your team, people around there that are kind of you're focusing on. You also talked about taking a break. And earlier, probably a couple months ago, I interviewed Dr. Ruth Gotian, and she had just come back from the Olympics. And she said
Mm,
one of the things she noticed that athletes do that sometimes we as leaders don't do is take a break. So you think about it when you're playing golf or you're in some kind of competition, you don't just keep playing every day. You take a break, right? You watch the athletes and the Olympics, their muscles have to rest. But as leaders, sometimes we don't do that. We just keep
mm,
going. So being able to take a break and have people around you that say, okay, it's time for you to take a break. You did really good. Because sometimes we won't tell ourselves that. You've got achiever, and achiever's just going to keep going, right? And
yes. I've taken steps over the years. The work-life balance term always scared me, and I didn't know what to do with it, but I've taken steps over the years to understand when it's a day that I can say this can wait until tomorrow, and when it's a day that it can't. And those days that it can't definitely exist, but I need to better recognize that there are days where I can take a break, lay on the couch and not feel guilty about it at all.
yeah, and I think that's the main thing is there should be no guilt. And especially thinking of yourself as a leader, as not only as an athlete, but as a leader. I need a mental break. You've just served all these people all week long, and giving yourself that mental break is huge and energizing. And sometimes our strengths, like achiever, can go in the basement, what we call the basement, where it just goes down and we're like, uh-oh. So turning that off, turning up your positivity, turning up your
Mm.
responsibility to take care of yourself right now is a key thing. We always have something in that top five to help us manage our well being when we go in that little basement. Um, so, congrats to you for your success. I love seeing what you're doing with your team and how you're building such a strong, cohesive team, and how you're mentoring these young players and get to see them grow. So, thank you so much for what you're doing, and we can't wait to continue to watch you and see you grow in your career.
Thank you. This was so fun. I really appreciate you having me.
Sure. Thank you.